Hello again and welcome and happy Friday. Thanks for making Friday your CCTU day. You're watching the September 24th episode of CCTU's Take 5, our fast-paced take on key industry trends. I'm Bill Van Amburg.
And I'm Alycia Gilde. Last week we had our live September CCTU broadcast and highlighted key segments that are critical topics along our roadmap to get us to zero emissions. Keeping to our roadmap goals, this week's Take 5, we will feature a report that highlights trends and findings based on zero-emission deployment plans to meet a new California regulation.
To discuss this with us, we're joined by Dan Welch, Senior Project and Publications Manager at Calstart. Dan, welcome, and thanks for joining CCTU Take 5.
Thank you very much.
Now, Calstart just published a new report. It's really looking at transit agencies in California and their course to zero emissions, and really looking at their pathways. Why is this so important to release right now?
When the California Air Resources Board adopted the innovative clean transit regulation, it required transit agencies to transition fully to zero-emission fleets by 2040. To set these agencies up for success, CARB also requires transit agencies to submit rollout plans that outline their expected shift to zero-emission buses, or ZEBs, over the next 2 decades. These plans are full of important details that show how transit agencies will approach the transition to ZEBs. Calstart analyzed key data found in rollout plans submitted by more than 20 of the state's largest transit agencies as of May 2021 to shed light on their timelines, trends, and costs to create zero-emission fleets. And one note on our data pool. Some other large transit agencies will be submitting their rollout plans within the next year, and smaller agencies have a 2023 deadline, so we look forward to providing additional updates when those come in.
Dan, this is great. Thank you so much. Well, hey, can you share with us what are some of the key takeaways of this report?
Well, first and foremost, we learned that transit agencies are building in some flexibility for which technologies they'll be using to drive their zero-emission transitions. When we think of new and next-generation transit bus technologies, we often tend to think of battery electric options, but the transit agency projections tell a different story. By 2040, hydrogen fuel cell buses could account for nearly a quarter of all buses that responding agencies plan to purchase and use in California. Nearly 2/3 of those agencies are planning to or will consider purchasing a fuel cell electric bus, so we've learned that hydrogen technologies have a sizable place in the market and in many of the state's largest transit fleets. Continuing on the theme of flexibility, transit agencies may also be planning for a more flexible future with smaller, more nimble vehicles than the traditional low-floor, longer-body buses that we're all accustomed to. Using available data from rollout plans, we estimated that almost 10% of all ZEB purchases will be cutaway buses. These buses can be used to more efficiently perform fixed-route service or to adjust to rider habits through microtransit applications. And interesting, cutaway buses further the trend of incorporating fuel cell technology. Nearly half of these buses may end up running on hydrogen.
Really, that's fascinating information. And so we've got complementary technology pathways and then a whole new suite of vehicle types coming out. But everybody does want to know about what's it going to cost to make this transition. And the paper has a section about transitioning the agencies. What did that analysis show?
That's a great point. We calculated all of the estimated vehicle costs it will take to transition these bus fleets and their associated infrastructure costs. One immediate lesson that we took away is that transit agencies are facing very unique, almost bespoke tasks to create a fully zero-emission transit landscape. Infrastructure costs in particular vary greatly depending upon the types of buses chosen, the size and complexity of the fleets, and even the location. One agency cited the hardening of their charging sites against sea level rise and storm surge in their costs to install charging stations. The specter of climate change in that last example underscores the hidden benefits that aren't included in the costs. When considering the costs that are associated with each of these agencies transitioning fully to zero emissions, that may exceed $15 billion, but we aren't fully monetizing the societal benefits and the hidden costs that are associated with the status quo. Zero-emission transit buses will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and vastly reduce harmful air pollutants that can result in disease and economic distress, particularly in California's disadvantaged communities. So it's important to remember and celebrate the positive impacts that these new transit systems will be bringing to the state and its residents.
Dan, well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us for this CCTU Take 5, a great report and great findings. Looking forward to sharing it with everyone. Well, and that is our Take 5 for this week. Make sure to register for our next live broadcast of CCTU on October 15th on our website. And stay connected with us by following us at Calstart on Twitter.
But for now, thank you for taking 5 with us and making Friday your CCTU day. Stay safe, and we will CCTU live on October 15th.